Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, I'm going to be giving you 7 reasons as to why you might hate Merida, Yucatan. Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of people out there that just don't like it out here, and they hate it out here, and they've been giving me their reasons, and well, that's what we're going to be talking about today, because it's not all peachy and rosy out here. There are a few things that I don't like myself, and we'll talk about that as we, go through the video. But as you guys already know, if you guys don't know, I talk about living in Merida, living in Mexico in general on this channel, and most of you guys already know. But for the ones that don't know, welcome. For the ones that do know, I talk a lot about living in Merida and how awesome it is to live out here. So, before I get too deep into this, I love it here. I live here. I think it's great here. And but this is a very real thing that I got to talk about, because a lot of people out there don't like it out here. You guys, come out here and then get upset, with me in particular for whatever reason. Like I lied to you about things like, I don't know, number 1, the weather. That's right. It's hot. If you guys watch my old videos especially, or watch many of my videos, I'm sweating all the time. I mean, yes, I do sweat a lot more than the average person, but it's hot. It is crazy hot out here. Now, some people love it, like me, because I'm a masochist and I love the heat, and I can go on and on. But the reality is that a lot of people out there don't like it. They hate it for whatever reason. And I mean, I don't know. I like it. Like I said, for me, I made a whole video as to why I like the heat and why I like, other things about Merida. But in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about why you guys or other people out there hate Merida or don't like Merida. The weather. I like the weather, but a lot of you guys don't like the weather. Let's go deeper into the weather. Now, as I said before, the weather out here can get very, very hot. During the months of March, April, May, it can get into the low hundreds, high 90s, low hundreds, and mid 70s. I have a lot of friends out there where that is insane. But hey, they tell me where they live, and it's like, hey, I live in negative 40-degree weather. I'm like, bruh, you're crazy. But anyways, to each their own, right? But it gets hot out here. And the coldest it gets, which is during November, December, February, January, February, again, during the winter months, it is still in the 80s, sometimes 90s. Right now, I'm recording this in January, and it's 90-something degrees outside. But it's nice. It's great. It's beautiful. I don't even have to have the air conditioner on, because it's nice and cool inside the house. And at night, it dips down into the mid to low 60s, depending on the night. So it's great. I don't got to use AC either. So for me, I love it. Other people hate it. They hate the weather. They're constantly complaining about how hot it is, how humid it is, how wet it is when it rains, whatever. So that's a real reality of it. If you don't like tropical weather, if you don't like, beach weather, if you don't like hot weather, then Merida might not be for you. Okay, that's it. It's as simple as that. Number 2, the bugs. Let's just get into the bugs and nature. Look, I don't know if you guys are aware, but Merida is in the middle of the jungle. That's it. There's nothing around here. That's it. Beach, jungle. Nothing else. And then you're in between. So, knowing that, then you got to understand that, there's going to be bugs everywhere, all the time. No matter what. I live in the city, yet there's roaches, there's flies, there's all kinds of bugs or spiders, there's all kinds of things. Now, most of them is harmless. Again, I'm from Florida. We got venomous things coming out of the toilet over there. Nothing like that here, okay? Nothing venomous that I'm aware of. Nothing to be scared of or be intimidated by outside of just bugs. Again, the roaches out here are regular roaches. When you go to Texas, they got roaches the size of your head. So it's up to you. You know what I mean? Like what you're used to. But there's a lot of people out there that are just not used to bugs. I lived in other parts of the USA where I was like, why are there no bugs? Where'd the bugs go? If you don't like ants in your pants, if you don't like spiders, coming down the water spout, if you don't like, roaches in the roach motel, then you're not going to like it here. That's it. Okay. And that's just the bugs. I can go on with other things. There's rodents. I got a little mouse, named Mickey that he comes into the kitchen from time to time and, Gizmo scurries him out. Why is that? Well, because I got to guard it in the back. And not only do I got a little mouse that comes in every once in a while, guess what? We got iguanas. We got stray cats. We got possums. That's why I got a dog. The dog is not only to keep you guys out, anyways, but it's also to keep other pests out. By the way, I'm not calling you pests. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be funny here. But no, what I'm saying is I love you guys. I literally love you guys. Shout out to all the patrons, all the members. Shout out to all of you guys that are always contributing and helping, the show along. Anyways, but Gizmo has already killed like 4 possums, 3 cats, multiple iguanas. I've lost count. But he's killed many animals, and I'm used to that. I'm from Florida, I got alligators in my backyard in Florida. No alligators here, but yeah, it's wild. You're in the wilderness in a sense, but it's a jungle. It's low-lying jungle. It's not the Amazon, but it's jungle. And from someone that comes from the Everglades, this ain't nothing. This is not really a big deal. But for a lot of people, that's just too much to handle. Too many critters, too many bugs. Too much of that, okay? Now, the further out you go, the more you're going to encounter these things. Out here, I'm just going to encounter smaller things, but the further out I go outside of the city, when I go visit friends and family that are living in the villages, out there, I'll see tarantulas. I'll see all kinds of things, all right? Bigger bugs, things that I don't even know what the hell they're called. They're out there. So, yeah, so that is a thing, okay? That's a thing, all right? So just keep aware of that, all right? And there's stray animals, since we're on that topic, there's going to be stray dogs and stray cats all over the place. You're not going to be able to do anything about it. In fact, some of those stray animals actually belong to some Mexicans. And if you notice, if you're outside in the afternoon when people are getting home from work, a lot of those stray dogs, they come home. They have a home. They just on the street all day. Like Beethoven. You remember that movie? Anyways, all right. Bugs and critters. All right, that's a major reason a lot of people don't like it outside of the weather. All right, number 3. Reason number 3. I'm on the fence with this one because this is something that I like and I hate at the same time. But the fact that it feels American in many areas, or it feels first world in many areas. So where I live, again, I live with the Mexicans. I live in just a regular residential area, but it's been here for a very long time, so I live with the Mexicans in the Mexican culture. I don't got the mall next door or anything like that, all right? Well, actually, I kind of do, but that's another story. Bruh. Well, but it's more typical of the neighborhood I grew up in and where my mom lives, and and I got family living in Florida. Just a regular, normal Latino neighborhood. Okay, but the more north I go, the more north in this city that you go, the more it just feels like the U.S. Meaning the traffic, the spacious, infrastructure where you gotta drive everywhere, you cannot walk anywhere. How things are more expensive, and I can go on and on. Again, I've talked about the fact that I'm glad that at least I have it over there. I don't got to go there. In fact, I very rarely go up to those areas. But, hey, if I got to go get some prosciutto or some nice wine or whatever, I can go get it up there, no problem. And I don't got to worry about, being able to, get certain things with, at a moment's notice. But it comes, again, there's a negative and a positive. So for a lot of people, like for me and some of you guys out there, a lot of you guys even think that where I live, or even this city, or just a city in general, is still too modernized, or too, what is it like, or it's too, changing, for your liking. Meaning that a lot of you guys want to move even further out into the boonies, into the village, into just the middle of nowhere. And I get that. I understand that. For me, I'm from a major city, and so I got to have at least some of those comforts. But what I mean is that you'll go to certain areas, you'll go to certain areas on Paseo Montejo. You'll go to certain areas in the north, and all of a sudden you'll see Starbucks and people walking around with their Starbucks or their iPhones and living that same exact life that a lot of us ran away from. So, if you're living in certain areas, you're going to be surrounded by that, and you're going to feel like you're in the USA or Canada or wherever you came from, no matter where you're living. But if you make a conscious effort to move out of those areas, all right, and live with the Mexicans, live in an area like where I live, in just a regular, normal residential neighborhood, then you'll be fine. You won't be surrounded or bombarded by that. But That is a true reality. And that is going to continuously morph and change. And there's going to be more and more of that as the city grows. So if you're not a fan of that, if you're not a fan of modernity, if you're, moving away for a particular reason, meaning you want, to be left alone, and you want, peace and quiet, you might have to move to like really south of the city or outside of the city or literally out in the jungle. But you can do it. This is still one of the areas where you can just be out here in the middle of nowhere and be left alone. I myself am one of those people, and I feel like in the city where I live, in the parts of the city where I live, I'm that. Because again, I come from a really, really big city. But anyways, that's the thing. So, if you're looking to run away from everything that is the USA or Canada, whatever, all that modernity stuff, then, you are going to have to live in certain areas of the city where you're going to be away from that, okay? And that's just the reality of it, all right? Because, again, there are other cities in Mexico that are just not, they don't have a Walmart every other block, okay? There's many Walmarts here. They got Costco. I could go on and on. So it's very Americanized. So for some people, that's good, but some people hate that. They don't even want to see a Costco. They don't even want to hear Krispy Kreme. You know what I mean? Speaking of cuisine, all right, that's another thing. The cuisine out here ain't the best, ain't the greatest. If you're coming to Mexico for the tacos, for the amazing Mexican food, this is not it, okay? In fact, I would argue, and I know I'm going to get a lot of haters, my wife is one of them. But at the end of the day, of all of Mexico, I rank the Yucatan close to the bottom when it comes to food, to cuisine. Again, some people love the Mayan cuisine, the Yucatecan cuisine, and the food out here, and all that stuff, the old, the cuisine from here, the food from here. I don't. A lot of people don't. If you live here, look, if you're coming out here to visit, to touristy stuff, you're going to love it. You're going to love the panuchos, salbutes, you're going to love all that stuff, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. It's great as a novelty. But if you got to live out here, and that's like what you got to eat every day, it's not that good, man. Me personally, I'm not a fan. My wife loves it. Again, she was born and raised out here, just like I have my, go-to, comfort food meals. We all do. So with that being said, the cuisine out here ain't the greatest. Like if you go to other parts of Mexico, you go to Oaxaca, oh my God, it's amazing. You go to Mexico City, amazing. You go to so many parts of Mexico, the food is amazing. In fact, you always hear about how amazing the food is, no matter where you go in Mexico. Not here. Now, on the side note, if you're looking into like the high-end restaurants, there's amazing cuisine out here. There's tons of high-end restaurants and high-end food, and you're going to find a lot of really good food in that department. But you're going to be paying a pretty penny for it. But there is that. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about just regular stuff. So not only is the cuisine out here, the local Mexican cuisine lacking, but on top of that, there's a lot of KFCs, Burger Kings, McDonald's, Subways, Krispy Kremes, Walmarts, Costco's, I can go on and on. So like I said, cuisine lacking. You go to Oaxaca, you're not going to find the McDonald's in the center of the city. You're just not in the downtown. You're just not. They're not. Okay? In fact, I don't think I even saw McDonald's the whole time I was there. So but here, they're everywhere, just like in the USA. So it's things like that. All right? Now, again, it's not terrible because, you have all this amazing plethora of fresh ingredients and, you can grow so much out here. And if you know how to cook, you'll be happy as hell. You'll be very happy. I know how to cook. I just make my own stuff. And there is Mexican cuisine out here. You just got to go out there and find it. But it's not the best. You want the best tacos a pastor? You're not going to find them in the Yucatan. I'll tell you that. All right? So, again, the cuisine is lacking. I'm sorry. I had to say it. It had to be said. But, again, there's a lot of really good food out there. Don't get me wrong. I love the food out here. But if I'm going to rank it, okay? As, from, all the Mexican cuisines, because, no. This is not. This ranks towards the bottom in my book. All right? By the way, if you disagree with me on any of these things or agree with me on any of these things, please comment below. Let's continue the conversation. Reason number 5 as to why you might not like it out here. You might hate it out here. It's too quiet. It's too peaceful. Exactly. So quiet you can hear the crickets. All right. So with that being said, all right, I'm from the big city. I don't know if you guys remember that movie, My Cousin Vinny, and when he went out to Alabama and he was sleeping in a motel for the first time, and it was so quiet he couldn't fall asleep. And it wasn't until he went to jail, and it was like a jail riot, a prison riot, and he was finally sleeping like a baby. Okay, I used to be that way because, again, I come from the big city. I'm Cuban, loud. You already know. So I used to be that way until I moved out here. And when I moved out here, all of a sudden, I started getting used to the peace and quiet, and I enjoyed it. But for a lot of people, you might not like the peace and quiet. You might not like the fact that there's, things to do, but it's not a major city. The things to do out here might not be for everybody. If you're into the environment, meaning you want to go to the beach, you want to go out there and be with nature, you want to go do certain things like that, you want to be in the garden, for other certain things you're going to love. If you like being outside, you love it out here. But if you're another kind of individual where, you just need to be living in a big city and have all the big city things like Los Angeles, Miami, New York, things like that, this is not the city for you. You might want to go to Guadalajara or Mexico City or any other major big city, Monterrey, I think. I don't know, but whatever, a major Mexican metropolitan area. Not here. Because out here, there's a million things to do. Again, as I discussed in the other video, talking about all the things I love about living out here, there's a lot of things to do. So many things to do, in my opinion. But it might not be for everybody. And it might be boring for a lot of people. Look, I remember when my sister came to visit, it was boring for her. And other people that have come to visit me, they think it's very boring and nothing to do. Outside of doing a few things, like let's go visit the pyramids, a few museums, the beach, whatever, it's boring. But for other people, they cannot get enough of it. I got plenty of friends of mine that, are into nature, into hiking, into just so many things, when it comes to, physical outside activities, and they love it out here. They cannot get enough of it. And so, I'm in between. I like a lot of physical activity. I like to do things. And so for me, I enjoy it out here, but I just had to get accustomed to changing, my, what I like to do in a sense, and for me, it's made me better. But again, that was my own personal story where you can follow and listen to, watch in my other videos, okay? Talking about how awesome and how much I love it out here and how much it's changed me and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, it can get, a bit too much for some people out there where it's just too quiet, too safe, too boring, nothing going on. I could go on and on, all right? And especially for the younger crowd. It's coming from a big city where things are just happening all the time. The younger you are, the more bored you're going to be out here. It's as simple as that, all right? The older you are, the more fun you're going to have out here, all right? So I'm right in between, so the older I get, the funner it gets. Reason number 6. Everything is in slow motion out here. Now, I know what you're going to say, or you're probably thinking already, oh, everything is in slow motion in Mexico already, Jose. Come on. Yeah, you're right. It is. But when you come out here, it is extra slow motion. It is next level slow motion. It is so slow, it makes molasses look like Speedy Gonzalez out there. Don't get me started with Slowpoke Rodriguez. Bruh. Long story short, though, it is super slow. Super duper slow, okay? And that's everything in aspect of life. Now, again, if you go to Mexico City, it's go, 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 just like in other parts of the USA, like if you go to New York or whatever. But out here, it is like Alabama, Mississippi. It's slower than slow, okay? And with that being said, that might not be for everybody. Look, when I got here, when I first moved here, it was, oh my God, one of the most frustrating things, period, in the story. The fact that everything moved so slow, like molasses, took forever. It was just incredible. It was just incredible. I couldn't... Look, how about this? At the beginning of the year, in the first episode of this year, I said that I was going to have my business started and going, hopefully, by sometime in February, not too long from the date of that video. Unfortunately, you know what I mean? Like, as of recording this, I already know it's going to take longer than that. And you're going to be watching this in mid-February at some point, and there's still no business out there. Why? because everything just takes forever to do. Not just the paperwork. That is beyond slow. Okay, paperwork to get a car, house, you name it, whatever. But just anything in general, you know what I mean? You want to get anything done, any kind of work, any kind of anything, whatever it is. Everybody just goes beyond slow motion. And to them, life is more important than getting whatever done. And so again, at first, coming from a very go, 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 go environment, that might be extremely frustrating. But if you get used to that, you'll love it out here. Like I said, my stress levels are at a minimum compared to what they used to be. And a lot of it is because I got used to how things are done out here. I just got used to that slow pace. Now, I'm still moving at, rocket speed. I'm still going, but I understand that everything around me is a slow motion. So I feel like a hummingbird, doing things all around, the city and doing things, in my own time. So I've gotten used to it in that sense by doing that, okay? By, picturing myself as that and just going with my own life. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. It has also slowed me down, but for the better. Where, again, a lot of stress has gone away. It's gotten to the point where I actually do take time to just sit down and smell the roses. Simple as that. And you get to really enjoy life if you're into that. But, for a lot of people, it's extremely, excruciatingly, just pain. It's just, beyond, insane how slow it is. And how, people are, in a sense, they're just in another speed, and they just really don't care if you're in a hurry or not. And you'll see it, throughout, society, when you're out living out here, whether you're waiting in line at the grocery store and people are they're unaware. I mean, they're just not self-aware of the fact that everyone else in line is also probably in a hurry. And they're just taking their time. Everyone's taking their time. And the people in line are already used to that. And so it's kind of like all that. And I could go on and on. Just so many things that you just see on a daily basis out here that just make you go, huh? And, like I said, it gets to a point where you just embrace it or it drives you crazy. I have been able to embrace it, and it has, again, made me better. And it made me enjoy life a lot more. And, allowed me to, just not take life so seriously, and so I can go on and on. So, but for most people, they hate it and they never get over that, okay? And now the last reason number 7. And this might not be pertained to everybody out there, but I think eventually it does. Driving. Yeah, driving out here is pretty crazy, but it's not what you think. Again, I come from Miami. I come from places where they got a lot of crazy drivers. So the driving out here is not crazy for me. I think that the drivers out here, for the most part, the reason that drives me crazy is because they are so slow. And you might not be able to really see it in the video per se, but once you're driving out here, and especially if you come from a go kind of like environment, you see how slow everybody is out here. And for me, I remember when I moved to Seattle, Washington for the first time, and I left Miami. I was going from Miami, from that insanity of driving environment, all the way to Seattle. And for me, it was like, why is everybody driving so slow and driving so scared as opposed to aggressive and insane? And so, I could never get used to it. But when I moved out here, that was taken to another level. Because it's Mexico on top of that. So people are just driving 5 miles per hour, not giving a crap, about anyone behind them or how much they're obstructing traffic. And no police officer is going to tell them anything. And I could go on and on. So they take it to another level out here. And so for a lot of people, that's very frustrating. But since I drove in Seattle for a very long time, and I already got used to that, as I've been driving out here, it was frustrating at first, but eventually I got over it. Because I just zigzag and drive around. And again, I'm already back to what I was saying previously in number 6, where everything's in slow motion. Well, I'm already kind of like in slow motion. And I'm already kind of like, going at their own speed or knowing how to navigate around that speed of slow. So it's not that bad for me, when I'm driving around or I'm stuck in traffic, which again compared to what real traffic is, there's no traffic here. Sure, there's traffic. The more north you go, certain areas, there's going to be traffic. It gets annoying because a lot of people don't know how to drive, and just because they don't know how to drive in traffic. They don't know how to drive in these environments. They're still getting used to all of that. The fact that they also, again, no urgency, it can get very frustrating. But at the end of the day, it's that driving of slow and scared that for me is insane. Now, for a lot of people out there, that come out here, you guys just basically say, oh my God, the people in Merida drive crazy. They drive very fast and they, just drive crazy, just crazy drivers. But again, I was born and raised in Miami. So like everyone out there, that drives out there is from Latin America. And most of them, drive even crazier than your typical Mexican, let alone someone from Merida. So I'm already like very used to like the insanity of what a Latino driver, what a Hispanic driver is going to be. But like I said, out here is just what I'm reminded of is a Seattle Mexican driver. I don't know what else to say. Very slow and very scared. And for someone that is very decisive, aggressive, and knows where they're going and what they're doing, it can get very frustrating. But as I said, I'm in hummingbird mode, so I kind of know how to navigate around. And there's still not so much traffic where you can't go through a lot of the side streets and the inner streets. So that's what I do. In fact, that's why I get some of this footage, as I'm driving around through the city, because I'm just avoiding traffic, just going through the side streets or the inner streets, and that's it. And there's not an insane amount of traffic out here yet where you can't do that. You can still do that here. So, but as I was saying, a lot of the traffic is just the fact that, the people out here, they just don't know how to drive. Now, you can say that about anywhere. The people don't know how to drive in Miami. They don't know how to drive in many parts of the world, in many cities. In fact, most people don't know how to drive. But what I'm saying is that, like, when you go to certain other parts, where there's less traffic, they know how to drive. The further south in the city you go, in the villages, certain areas, they know how to drive. And a lot of them don't even have a license. All right. It's just like I said, really it comes with the fact that the more north you go, the more traffic there's going to be. The more these people that are driving in these modern environments, they don't know how, and they're starting to get used to all that. And it comes with a lot of, a big learning curve. But, just your everyday driving, a lot of it is just not insane, but just a lack of awareness, when they're driving. People they drive and they think in their minds as they're driving like they're the only ones on the road. All right. And again, for people that are not used to that, that can be very, very, very scary. All right. Or frustrating or whatever. Depends on, how you look at it. But for me, the driving is, one of those pet peeves that I'm still getting used to, because at the end of the day, really the people, they're great and they're wonderful and they're awesome, but it's just that lack of self-awareness when they're driving is pretty insane. And it's funny too, because like a lot of them are used to not having a lot of traffic or really having to be that self-aware, because there's not that many, people. But as more and more people are showing up and coming out here, and especially from other parts of Mexico where they are more aggressive with their driving and they are a little crazier, and they're mixing, with, tourists that are driving around and don't know what they're doing, and other expats that are driving either scared or aggressive or whatever, and all that mix of all these different kind of driving is a recipe for disaster, which we haven't seen anything yet. As the city grows, it's only going to get worse. Trust me. Go to Miami. You'll see what I mean. Or go to any major city where, there's a lot of drivers, from all over the world. It's pretty insane. But I say Miami because Miami very closely resembles here, where, a lot of traffic laws are just, suggestions, not, enforced per se. So, anyways, with all that said, I think that we covered it all. We covered all 7 of the things that you are probably going to hate about Merida, Yucatan. All right. Hopefully you don't hate any of them, but it's just the reality of it. You know what I mean? Like, I hate some of these things, and some of you guys hate all of them. But, maybe you don't hate any of these. None of these pertain to you. But at the end of the day, I think we covered them all and we're done here. So let's wrap up the video. If you want to see a video in which, I tell you 7 reasons why you're going to love it out here, check it out. I'm going to link it right here at the end of this video, but you already know the deal, guys. I want to give a big shout out to all my patrons. I want to give a big shout out to all the members down below. I want to give a shout out to every single one of you that contributes and helps keeps the lights on and helps, spread the knowledge that is, all these videos by, again, your contribution, whether it's, $1, $5, or leaving a comment below, or whatever it is you do, helps a lot. So I just want to give a shout out to all of you. So with all that being said, you already know the deal. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, but more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.